two different AI companies, two very different mistakes. One of them open sourced a model that can predict how your brain responds to content without scanning anyone. The other one accidentally left draft launch materials sitting in a publicly accessible folder on the internet. Materials that described their newest AI model as posing unprecedented cybersecurity risks. Meta just publicly released something called Tribe V2. The name sounds technical and obscure, and honestly, that's probably why it didn't trend harder. But when you understand what it actually does, the obscurity starts to feel intentional. You feed Tribe V2 a piece of media, and it tells you what pattern of brain activity you'd expect to see in a human brain responding to that content. It does this without scanning anyone. No MRI machine, no lab, just a model running on a computer predicting neural responses. More specifically, it maps those predictions onto something called a cortical surface mesh. That is basically around 20,000 data points representing the surface of a human brain. Researchers call this an encoding model. You feed it a stimulus and it predicts the brain response you'd expect to see. So, why does it matter? In Meta's own annual filings, they state that they generate substantially all of their revenue from selling advertising. Right now, platforms optimize for behavioral signals like clicks, watch time, and scroll stops. They run A/B tests on thumbnails and headlines, and try thousands of variations to find what gets a response. What Tribe suggests is a future where content can be pre-tested against predicted neural responses. Run 10,000 variations of an ad through the model and find the one that's predicted to generate the strongest engagement signal in the brain's reward and attention regions. Neuromarketing has been around since at least the early 2000s. Classic research showed that activity in certain brain regions could predict purchasing decisions better than self-reported surveys. It's been used to test Super Bowl ads, package design, and political messaging. The difference with a foundation model approach is iteration speed and cost. Traditional neuromarketing requires actual human subjects, actual scanners, actual money per session. Tribe V2 collapses that bottleneck. Meta didn't keep it internal. They published the code. They published the weights. It's on GitHub. Anyone can run it. Any company can study it. Any lab anywhere can build on it. The brain response model is now a public building block. UNESCO has already flagged neurotechnology as a category of tools that threatens what they call mental privacy, which is the idea that your inner cognitive states deserve protection the way your communications do. The Council of Europe has been working on binding AI frameworks that try to extend human rights principles to AI-generated systems. But frameworks move slowly. Models move fast. Now let's talk about Anthropic. If Meta's story is about what happens when a powerful model gets intentionally released into the world, the Anthropic story is about what happens when a powerful model gets accidentally exposed before anyone was ready. On March 26th, Fortune reported that a security researcher had discovered a publicly accessible data cache connected to Anthropic's content management system. There were nearly 3,000 internal files. Things like draft blog posts, internal documents, and media were sitting in a location that anyone with the right URL could reach, and buried inside all of that were draft launch materials for a model called Claude Mythos. A company spokesperson confirmed the leak was real. They described it as human error in how their content management system was configured. They took down access to the cache after being contacted, but researchers had already reviewed the materials. And what those materials contained is the part of this story that I think deserves serious attention. The draft documents described Claude Mythos as posing unprecedented cybersecurity risks. The spokesperson, when asked, confirmed that Mythos represents a step change and described it as the most capable model we've built to date. They also confirmed it's already being tested with early access customers. Writing "this poses risks" in a draft document is not evidence that the company is reckless. Responsible labs should be doing exactly that kind of internal risk assessment, but there's a tension that's hard to ignore. Anthropic publicly advocates for careful, staged deployment. They have a documented framework that lays out explicit capability thresholds and safety requirements before advancing to more powerful systems. And yet, the most sensitive draft materials about their most dangerous model to date were accessible via a public URL due to a configuration error. In November 2025, just 4 months before this leak, Anthropic published a detailed report about what they called the first documented AI-orchestrated cyber espionage campaign. A threat actor they assessed with high confidence as Chinese state-sponsored used Claude code to attempt intrusions into roughly 30 global targets, and according to their own findings, AI carried out around 80 to 90% of the operation, with humans only stepping in occasionally. So when they now describe a new model as a step change that poses unprecedented cybersecurity risks, they are not speaking abstractly. They have already seen what that looks like in the real world.